Hey everybody, and welcome to Killing Time, the kinder, gentler edition, where we don't swear as much. Nah, okay. That's a bunch of that's a bunch of horse shit. I'm IA.
Juice Pop,
JB, the Florida Gator, Captain Blue Shirt himself, not wearing a blue shirt today. Okay, so we're recording this in 720p. What the hell happened to you?
I had an accident.
Oh, you sure it was an accident? It wasn't one of those one of those victim kind of things? Did you deserve the accident?
No. A bolt sheared off a car and cut my head.
Sounds like you're being very apologetic about the bolt.
Yeah. I don't think it meant to. I just happened to be in its way.
I feel like I'm making very light of the situation. But you're all right. You said it was a superficial wound?
Yeah, 6 stitches.
Yeah, it was a pretty gnarly... Bob sent me a text, an image, MMS image, and I was like, holy shit. Because I'm like, this man is dead. It looked like the stitching from something from The Fly.
Uh-huh.
Because the stitching was just fresh and everything. So I'm like, okay, Brundle Bob. Okay, too bad. Yeah. But you're all right? You said you had 2 black eyes?
Yeah, I don't know if you can see just right there.
Jeez Louise. I'll chalk that up to too much drinking and partying as you do nightly.
Yep, absolutely.
And, physical violence against machines. So should we assume that one day you'll grow up to be Magnus, a robot fighter?
Could be.
And if you don't know what I'm talking about, kids, go look it up in another tab, because that's a thing. Mm-hmm. All right, so this is Killing Time. We record on this show stuff. I don't know why I said record.
We record stuff. We review stuff.
We review stuff. I promise you, we just had water today and some Soylent. All right, so we look for entertainment that doesn't suck. And so what we do from time to time is we look at the news because, we're going to make some judgments about stuff that happened before they happen. Because, what's really important is being prejudiced, You're gonna judge something, you prejudge it, it's prejudice, all right? So first up in the news is the Hasbro Universe. The Hollywood Reporter had a story saying that Paramount is building a connected universe out of its properties G.I. Joe, Micronauts, Mask, and ROM. I didn't know that the production company or the film label was called Allspark Pictures, which is obviously from the Transformers.
Transformers, yeah.
What do you think of this interconnected potential universe?
I think since Marvel and now Star Wars and DC are doing it, all the other, I guess, movie houses are thinking, geez, we need one of these universes. What can we do? Oh, we have toys. Let's do that.
Yeah, but if you've watched the first G.I. Joe movie, right?
And the second, yes, unfortunately.
So the first one, I thought it played like a kid playing with his toys because there was a huge logical leap, actually a deficit in logic in this movie. It's like, oh, I'm just going to steal this briefcase. Oh, by the way, I have a super suit. Watch me fly. It's like, are you making this up as you go along? Because it seems like you're making up this whole thing as you're going along. And we know that if you want to do that kind of story, the Lego movie nailed that idea.
Did it perfectly, where it was a kid playing with Legos.
And it made a lot of sense. Why does Superman just get tied up really quickly, or the Green Lantern? Why is Batman his favorite? It makes all the sense in the world. Now, and obviously there's the Lego Batman movie, which I'm looking forward to, which
looks hilarious.
It really does look good. It's such a shame that movie is still far away, and I don't think it connects to the DCU.
No, I don't think so.
Anyway, so back to the Allspark thing. I liked Mask as a kid. I don't know if you remember Mask.
I loved Mask. Mask was awesome.
I don't remember what it stands for. I remember the toys were really cool, and they were kind of Transformers-y, and the actual action figures were super teeny.
Yeah.
But the vehicles were amazing. Micronauts, I assume, are just small people again. And ROM, if I remember right, was this little robot guy.
Yeah.
And Marvel had a comic on that as well.
Truthfully, out of those, I think the big properties are G.I. Joe and Mask. You could make a decent movie out of. Not so sure about the Micronauts in the realm.
I could see them connecting and actually having characters spin off. And let's see if they test well in G.I. Joe, you put them in Mask. Somebody else decides to get transferred to Mask so they can be our guy or guide, actually, into this new world. Because when you're doing universe building, I thought X-Men did it very well. The first one, where you have the standard story of here's the Wolverine. He's skeptical of all this stuff. Skeptical? I'm like talking like Popeye today.
It's okay. It's okay.
I don't know what it is. I shouldn't work out right before this thing. I'm usually just frazzled. Anyway, so I think it could work if they do it that kind of way. If they do it like DC, I think it could be very problematic. But then again, G.I. Joe is already established. Is
this going to take in... Yeah, are those going to be part of this canon, those first two movies? The G.I. Joe movies?
I don't know. I would think that the second one, which is almost a reboot, but not really a reboot, it was kind of like a redo. So yeah. I would think they would want to keep The Rock around because there's nothing saying that movie did poorly. That movie actually did pretty well.
Because The Rock was in it.
The other thing is, though, they could redo it in the fact that Channing Tatum, is that how you say his name?
Yeah, didn't die.
Yeah, he gets killed off in that movie, spoiler. And they didn't realize he was going to test so well.
Right.
And they're like, oh, shit, we killed him. So let's boost his scenes together. And MASC stands for Mobile Armored Strike Command. Command with a K.
Because they needed it to spell mask.
They couldn't think of any other K word. I guess they didn't want to go with like Knights or something because that's a weird K. Although Night Industry 2000. Anyway, I don't think... You know what? I'm going to forget it. I think this is going to work.
I think it could work. But the thing is, what we haven't talked about is, have you seen some of the writers they have on board?
Who do they got?
There's some big names there.
They've got Michael Chabon, who wrote the novel The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay and worked on Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 was like the best one.
Spider-Man 2 was awesome.
Brian K. Vaughan, right there. On
Why the Last Man? It was awesome.
He's done a lot of other stuff, too. I know his name from I think he did some Ultimates work, too.
Yeah.
Or maybe, was he the guy who did Powers?
Yes.
So that was some good stuff, too. Let's see. And he was the showrunner of Under the Dome, Guardian of the Galaxy, and Captain Marvel co-writer Nicole Perlman. Okay, this is a bunch of people.
Yeah, they're not messing around. They got some real writers for this.
Yeah, but didn't the same guy who wrote the Dark Knight trilogy, didn't he do the DC stuff? The new stuff? David Goyer?
Yeah.
So the thing I'm having here is about really the studio involvement. Because if this is allowed to have a singular direction, because Paramount, I believe the Marvel Universe was going to be a Paramount. That's where Iron Man was. And Avengers still had the little Paramount logo before Disney snapped it up.
Right.
Paramount was going to have this connected universe. So they're probably like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
What did we do that for? But they didn't buy Marvel. Disney bought Marvel and got to enjoy all of the fun that went with that. But if they learned properly, and they have right now there's 2 models, and there's a third model coming up with Sony, because the Men in Black PlayStation, the Men in Black 21 Jump Street thing is happening.
Right.
Which is MIB 23.
And who was it that's doing Three's Company?
Okay.
Was that Sony?
I don't know.
Because that would be another TV property. Because obviously the 21 Jump Street was a TV property that jumped to the big screen.
It's New Line, and I forget.
Oh, it's New Line. Okay.
Who owns New Line? I'm gonna look that up real fast. But yeah, so that's the second news story, is that New Line is working on bringing Three's Company to the big screen. Rob, can you explain the premise of Three's Company to the audience, please?
The premise of Three's Company is a man lives with 2 women platonically. This man is not gay, but there's questions about his sexuality throughout the show. I'm not quite sure how you translate this into nowadays.
Yes.
Because it took place in the 70s. Yes. When this was more of a problem, now it wouldn't be a big deal.
Yes. So to mask the cohabitation issue of a single man living with 2 single women, the man, played by John Ritter, pretended to be gay. And so his conservative landlord, who was then replaced with a conservative landlord, would just write off any behavior as Tinkerbell, and they would make this little face thing. Mr. Roper would do this a lot. And Don Knotts didn't really do it that way. He wasn't so offensive. He might just roll his eyes or something and kind of move away from Jack, the character. But
the issue is it's not very PC at all.
Well, not in the current climate. And
yes.
And it was a pretty good period sitcom. The idea of this is of the times. It was a weird idea at the time. It only works in the time. How to make it work in modern society where you have two girls living with a guy. Like, that sounds fine. Like,
yeah.
Unless... Okay, so maybe what you do is the show takes place in California, though. So this is kind of the problem. They got to move the show for the movie. They got to move from California to some kind of Bible Belt place, or there's a very conservative character who's playing the landlord. It's got to be somebody like a J.K. Simmons or somebody like who's just oozing conservatism, just who can do it. And then you can play it up, I guess. But the hijinks ensue. That's the whole point. Like, Jack's on a date. How is he going to write this off? Oh, he's doing her hair. Oh, that Jack. Like, and what's the plot of the movie?
I have no idea.
Like 21.
I don't see it at all. 21 Jump Street made sense. They were undercover cops. You can always make that work. But like you said, it just doesn't fit with this time period.
Also, New Line Cinema is owned by Warner Brothers? No, Time Warner.
Okay.
It's Time Warner and then Warner Brothers. They both have this. So then again, the Brady Bunch worked, and it
did,
but it was a parody of itself, and that was very
they
important.
made it funny. Yeah, and they picked the right actors.
Baywatch is coming. I also think that could have a plot because
the reason Baywatch is going to work is because The Rock's in it, and he saves movies. It's what he does.
Essentially, that's what he does. But the idea is you can have a plot. People are dying, right? And you should rescue them.
But do you remember Baywatch? It didn't need a plot. All it needed was slow motion running.
Well, yeah, that was the point then. And it also veered into the personal lives of the lifeguards. And then there was Baywatch Nights, which I really hope we get a Baywatch Nights spin-off movie.
Well, it'd be The Rock, Baywatch Nights.
Well, yeah, that's the point. It's got to be The Rock.
Yeah.
And Zac Efron, I guess.
Yeah.
And Alexandra Daddario.
They did get some very pretty people for this movie.
Yes, and they're all...
Male and female. All in amazing shape, very pretty.
What's hilarious is that these people, these actors in the 2016 version of Baywatch make the Baywatch people of the 90s look like fat, out-of-shape slobs.
Yes.
Which in the 90s we're all like, this is really pretty awesome.
Yeah, they are in really good shape. Yeah, they look like And
it turns out no, they were fat tubs of goo. It turned out I didn't know that.
Pretty much. I think between The Rock and Zac Efron, they might have 2% body fat between the two of them.
Yeah, it might be the fat kid that's next to him.
It's insane.
Maybe he's playing Toby. I don't really know, but I think the movie Three's Company is going to be an absolute bomb.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's let's see, the writers are Abby Cohn and Mark Silverstein, the duo behind the hit. I didn't know this was a hit. He's Just Not That Into You. I don't even know that movie.
I know the movie.
Was it good?
Not really. They got a bunch of stars together and made a romantic comedy out of it. It had there was some good parts. Justin Long was in it. He's really funny in pretty much everything he's in.
Oh, he could be the new Jack. There you go.
There you go. That works.
I don't know. I mean, the other thing about...
I don't see how it could be good.
And the big thing about Three's Company as well was the physical humor of John Ritter. You had some very good line deliveries by lots of people, but there's no overarching plot.
No. It was a period sitcom. It was perfect for the period it was in. That's why it worked.
It was completely based on misunderstandings. It was like there was... If anyone was clear or just stood up for themselves and said, listen, I'm living here and you're dealing with that, I'm paying you money, just deal with it. Mm-hmm. But whatever. Although Larry, I think, could be very funny. He could be a quip machine. Larry will be played by Robert Downey Jr., I hear.
Well, then people would go see the movie just for that.
I'm making that up.
Let's
see, who's going to play Chrissy? Somebody I read somewhere that it would be Kaylee Cuoco. How do you say her name?
Yeah, that would work.
And
she pretty much does the same thing on Big Bang Theory. She just looks good.
There you go. You just bring everybody there. I don't really know how they're going to make it, but let's talk about an actual thing that is in existence. Something I'm watching these days. It's called The Real O'Neills on ABC. Have you watched this show?
I have not, but I've heard of it. Is that the one where, speaking of gay guys, where the kid comes out to his family? Is that show?
That is the show, and So I liked a lot of the ABC shows because they have they're kind of wholesome family shows, and it's weird because I just want to get a good laugh out of something. Like I like Fresh Off the Boat, and then
Fresh Off the Boat is very good. I like that show.
And there was a downtime where everything was on hiatus, but they had a preview of The Real O'Neills. So I watched this, and it's about an Irish family, and they're living in modern times. Because I thought it was gonna be a throwback, because there's a lot of throwback shows these days. It's actually the whole family has a set of issues. It turns out, yes, the teenage son is gay, and that is something they have to deal with. The parents are divorcing, but since they're Irish Catholic, they have a huge issue with admitting the fact that they are splitting up. And the mother won't let go of the concept, so she tells the husband to live in the basement until an acceptable time passes until they can actually get a divorce. The daughter is like a thief, and the other son, the first episode, he's a wrestler. I think he's still a wrestler in this, but he's trying to cut weight a lot, so he's dealing against two different things: weight problems and masturbation problems. Just way too much time in the shower.
Okay.
So it turns out it's not just about this one kid and his problems. It's about this family accepting all of their different roles in the very beginning. And the rest of the series kind of deals with each of the things that you're going along. It's really clever.
It's good?
Yeah, it's really clever. It's really well done. It's funny. It's not making fun of any of the types either. They're just kind of just showing people adjusting. But even with that heart, it's still funny. Instead of it being overly schmaltzy, you're learning a lesson, and at the end, every episode of Modern Family, where there's I'm going to narrate. It always means that togetherness is what makes us together, and togetherness, it's guys, it's been 7 seasons. Stop fucking ending every show the same way. And they don't do that on this program. It's only the first season, so it could get worse, but it's out right now. I like it a lot. I think it's worth a watch, and it stars Martha Plimpton. You know
Plimpton.
her?
Yep.
She was on, what was that Fox show? Raising Hope.
Raising Hope. Good show. It's funny.
So she was on that show. She's very funny. She's playing the matriarch. And they have an even more conservative mom. Not mom. The mom of the mom. Who had a real issue with all of this stuff. So, of course, they have to lie like crazy about everything that's going on. And put up crosses everywhere. Because she literally walks out of a cab with a Bible. And she's played by the redheaded lady from 6 Feet Under. You've seen her in everything.
Lauren Ambrose?
Yes.
That one?
This show isn't a trivia show where I ask Rob a bunch of questions. Usually I'm better prepared. I'm not prepared for some reason. I was I do watch the show, but it's actually a lot of fun. But Rob's really good at remembering shit, so that's really helpful. So it's Lauren Ambrose. She's in there, and she's very good. So and the not the male lead. The father is Stan from Mad Men.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's a big hook for me because I'm
wow.
It's fun to see him.
I love that guy. That guy, he was awesome on Mad Men.
Yeah, so if you like Mad Men and you like Stan and you want to see him in something else, this is where he went. This is what he's doing. It's a good show. He plays a cop.
Awesome.
A Chicago cop, an Irish cop.
Irish Chicago cop. Wow, there's a stereotype for you.
It's a really good show, and they don't really go much into. They don't spend a lot of time making fun of anybody. So don't think of one of those it's not like Three's Company, right? There are misunderstandings based on a lot of this stuff because they have to hide a lot of stuff because the mom's very proud, but I can relate to that. I think a lot of people can relate to parents saying, "Get dressed, look nice, be happy."
Be happy now.
Your grandmother's coming. You stop this crap. All right. Are you watching anything?
Nothing new right now that we haven't talked about. Just the same old shows. Blacklist, which has been good. I do have a problem. No spoilers. I'm not going to say what shows, but I've been having this problem lately that the shows I watch keep killing main characters. Having this issue. I count. I'm up to 5 within the last 3 weeks. The shows I watch have killed main characters.
So Modern Family's one of them. And then there must be the Smurfs.
Yep. Papa's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Replaced by the older guy.
Yeah,
the longer beard.
Grandpapa.
And then there must be Shark Tank. That was a fucked up episode.
You never thought Mark Cuban would die like that.
They had to goose things for the ratings, man. Sweeps is coming up. Let's see what else. What other show? There was also the Larry King Show on Hulu.
Larry King.
It's pretty fucked up that they killed somebody on there.
I mean, how do you kill somebody who's the name of the show? But they did.
And then at number 5 was Good Morning America. Actually, it's probably...
No, but I just mean it seems like they're going for shock value on a lot of these shows, and it's a little too much.
That's okay. You can always rewatch or see them in... Oh, wait, so we're not talking about The Walking Dead, are we?
No, that's actually not one I was talking about. But you could always add that. But they always kill people in The Walking Dead, so that doesn't surprise me.
All right, so are you caught up with The Walking Dead at all?
Yeah, I watched just watched the last one a couple weeks ago.
I don't know if we talked about this on the show. Let's talk about Walking Dead real quick.
We didn't.
Did you read the comic books or know who was the one who dies at the end?
I read the comic books. I don't think it's going to follow the comic books. With this one, it hasn't so far with a lot of other things and a lot of other characters. So they could really go any way they want with this. I have theories about who I think it is, but I think first of all, I think it's a guy. Second of all, it's not Rick or his son because of the way they set it up. So that narrows it down quite a bit.
Well, I'm hoping they stay true to the comic book because I think that character has escaped death far too often this season.
Yes.
And also, this was coming. And I think it's necessary only because, and the first time I ever read that this happens in the books, and I'm not spoiling it here, when I read this character dies in the books, my heart sunk. And I was like, no, not this person.
Not him.
Not him. Well, you can't do that. And then I'm like, no, wait a minute. This is probably a really gutsy book then. This has got to be good. So I can't wait for this to happen in the show. And I thought Jeffrey Dean Morgan was terrific.
Oh, that scene. He owned that scene. I mean, that was really good.
Yes, he's now the face of Thomas Wayne and Negan.
Yes.
So don't get confused.
Yeah.
He actually, maybe he is Thomas Wayne in an alternate future, an alternate reality.
Mm-hmm.
He loses his son, as he does in the Paradox thing. But there's an apocalypse that happens. So instead of him being the Batman, he decides to take a new name, Negan.
But in the Negan world, does he have to hook up with Lauren Cohen there too? Because isn't she Martha?
He will eventually.
Okay, eventually.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you remind me of someone. Kind of like the Wolverine, how he's like always into the redheads because they look exactly the same.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing. Yeah, so that's clearly where this is going. That's what's going on. And eventually, like I said, this show will merge with Last Man Standing. Sorry, Last Man on Earth, not Last Man Standing, totally different show.
Perfect.
And when it merges and they run into those folks in Malibu, it's going to be fun.
Yeah.
It's going to be party time. And Phil is going to get his name back.
Thank God.
Okay, so let's see what else. I have one thing else prepared, which is not saying much.
What's that?
The what did I do in real life for entertainment?
What'd you do?
I went to a baseball game.
Yankees game?
I went to a Rays versus the Yankees game, which was on Sunday. Liz actually got the tickets. We took the boy out there. We go to see this game.
Good seats?
Decent seats. He actually wanted to sit. This is funny. We actually got really good seats for the first time we went to a baseball game at the Yankee Stadium. And Aldrin, that's my son's name, he decides to look around at the stadium. He goes, can we sit up there? Pointing to the cheap seats. And I'm just like, dude, do you not understand what this cost me? And like we're like on the first baseline and it's awesome and you can see everything. You can read the numbers right there. It's like, well, what about up there? So we were up there this time. Like if you went about 6 rows back, you're at the wall of the actual stadium at the top. Like you could smack onto it and like.
So now you know for future reference, he's a cheap date.
True.
So next time you don't have to spend all that money if he likes sitting up there.
So we saw the game, and baseball live is still dull.
Still dull. So usually you take care of that with beer. And
beer
food.
was purchased. The beer quality at Yankee Stadium is excellent. They have a killer IPA called 10 Apocalypse.
Expensive?
It's like, I think 2 of them was like 19. So it wasn't too bad. Right?
Yeah. $8-9.
I mean, if you think of Manhattan prices for beer and you think about stadium pricing, they're pretty close.
Yeah.
So there's that. But they gave you like a giant cup. They weren't like giving you little chintzy ones. They had hot dogs, which were very good, and the game itself was horrible because in the first inning, I think the pitcher Pineda let up 2 home runs. After he had 2 outs and I think it was 2 strikes, and he manages to let up 3 runs in the first. After this, to the point where people around where I'm sitting are yelling, "Take him out! Pull him out!" And I'm like, actually, that's kind of funny because it's a little early after the first home run. With the second one, I'm yelling it. On the third one, which happens a little later, because it ends up being 5-0, really fast. I'm like, why is he still out there? What is the point? Unless he's just out there to maybe control his ERA. Just keep him out there for a couple innings, and if he goes out now, his ERA is going to spike like crazy because he only pitched 6 times, and they've scored 5 times. Which, just.
Did they win?
The Rays won.
The Rays won.
I think the Yankees scored 2, and it was 8-2 final. It was just a destruction. And the new Yankee Stadium is still nice. It's relatively new.
Yep.
The seats are decent. The place was sparsely populated, so it was kind of nice. We were in the bleacher section, so it was nice and shady, so no bearing down on heat. But it's still fun to go to the park, watch the game, see what's going on. 7th inning stretch, trying to explain to the boy, take off your hat because the national anthem's playing.
Yeah.
Still fun. A lot easier to explain baseball to an almost 6-year-old compared to a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
So he's getting better at that. So as entertainment that doesn't suck, if you're a Yankees fan, it sucked. If you were not a Yankees fan, or you actively root against them, or you're a Rays fan, it's this is delightful. But otherwise, I recommend going to baseball games.
Yes, they are fun.
They are the sport where you can do anything you want during it.
Oh yeah, you don't have to pay much attention either. I mean, you can kind of follow along while sitting, hanging out, talking, having a beer.
Is there anything else we should cover before we put this episode to bed?
No, I think we're good.
Okay, that does it for us. We want to thank all our patrons on Patreon. We got a bunch of you new guys just fairly recently, so thanks a lot. We're $30 away from reviving dinosaurs before they were Fuel Show, which is really freaking awesome. So thank you, everybody. I'm going to put up all the names of the people now on my face or in the middle here. So here you go, all the people. They're awesome. Go to killingtime.tv and watch episodes there. Go to YouTube. We actually have a YouTube channel, youtube.com/finitecomedy. You can subscribe there. Like us. Do all those things that people always say at the end of videos. Like, subscribe, blah, 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 blah. Thumbs up. I don't know what else you guys do. Write comments. Make jokes. I don't care. Just let us know. Anything else?
No, I'm good.
That's it.
Bye.